A luxurious black Rolls-Royce stopping outside a grand corporate building. A man in an expensive suit steps out, his face unreadable, his aura commanding. This is Adrian King, a 32-year-old self-made millionaire, ruthless in business but broken inside. Money can buy power, but can it buy love? This is the story of a man who had everything, yet his heart was a prisoner of loneliness, until he met her. A soft melody plays as the camera pans to a girl sitting by the window, completely engrossed in a book. She looks fragile, delicate, yet there's something about her that makes the world fade away. This is Elya, a 24-year-old woman with a heart full of dreams but legs that refuse to support her. It's raining. Adrian, exhausted from a long day, walks into the bookstore, seeking a moment of silence. He doesn't believe in fate, but fate believes in him. His gaze lands on Elya, and something stirs in him, something unfamiliar. She, unaware of his presence, struggles to reach for a book on the top shelf from her wheelchair. Why does she look so peaceful, so untouched by the world's cruelty? Suddenly, Elya's fingers slip, and the book comes crashing down. Just as she braces herself for impact, a strong hand catches it mid-air. She looks up, straight into Adrian's piercing blue eyes. Elya, softly, surprised. "Oh, thank you." Adrian, usually distant and cold, feels an odd warmth in her voice. He hands her the book, but instead of walking away, he stays. Watching her. Studying her. There's something about this girl, something that makes his heart beat just a little faster. But what happens when fate ties two broken souls together? Cue suspenseful music. Days pass. Adrian finds himself returning to the bookstore, always at the same time. He watches Elya from a distance, fascinated by her. She's different from the women in his world, those who chase after his wealth and power. She doesn't know who he is, and for some reason, he doesn't want her to know. For the first time in his life, Adrian King wanted to be seen, not as a billionaire, but as a man. One evening, he finally speaks to her again. This time, he finds out about her love for books, her dream of becoming a writer, and her struggles with disability. She tells him about how people look at her with pity, assuming she's weak. But Adrian sees strength in her eyes, a fire that refuses to die. He listens. And for the first time, someone listens to her. Elya, laughing softly. "You know, you never told me your name." Adrian hesitates. He could tell her who he really is, but instead, he chooses a different truth. Adrian, with a small smile. "Just Adrian." Elya smiles back, completely unaware that the man sitting before her is one of the richest men in the country. But secrets have a way of coming out, and when they do, will love survive? Adrian's world and Elya's world are colliding, but not everyone is happy about it. One evening, as Adrian leaves the bookstore, his personal assistant, Jason, stops him outside. Jason, concerned. "Sir, you've been disappearing every evening. Who is she?" Adrian doesn't answer. He knows that the moment Elya finds out who he really is, everything will change. But what he doesn't know is that someone else has been watching too. Someone who doesn't want Elya anywhere near Adrian King. When love and power collide, who gets hurt? It's a quiet evening. The bookstore is closing. Elya is still inside, lost in her world of books. Adrian stands by the glass window outside, watching her, his chest tightening with emotions he refuses to name. He wants to tell her the truth. But will she look at him the same way once she knows who he really is? Will she think he was just playing with her, like the rest of the world does? Just as he's about to enter, a sharp voice interrupts his thoughts. "So, this is where you've been wasting your time." Adrian turns. Standing in front of him is Sophia Monroe, a wealthy socialite, daughter of one of his biggest investors, and the woman the media constantly links him with. Sophia, crossing her arms, smirking. "Really, Adrian? A disabled girl in a bookstore? Is this your latest charity project?" Adrian's jaw clenches. He hates the way she says it, like Elya is someone to be pitied. Like she's less than anyone else. His fists tighten, but before he can say anything, the door to the bookstore opens, and Elya rolls out, completely unaware of who she's walking into. "Elya, smiling softly at Adrian. "You came." But the moment she sees Sophia standing there, her smile fades. Sophia, fake sweetness, eyes scanning Ilya like she's unworthy. "Oh, how cute. You must be his little friend." Ilya frowns, sensing the tension between them. Adrian steps forward protectively, his voice ice-cold. "Adrian." "Sophia." "Leave." Sophia, laughing mockingly. "Oh, Adrian. You didn't tell her, did you?" She turns to Ilya, her voice dripping with cruelty. "Sophia. Sweetheart, do you even know who you're talking to? This isn't just Adrian. He's Adrian King. Billionaire. Theo. The man everyone wants but no one can have." Ilya's eyes widen, shock and disbelief washing over her like a tidal wave. Adrian had lied to her. When the truth shatters trust, will love survive? Cue intense, dramatic music. Scene 5. Broken trust. Ilya doesn't say a word. She doesn't cry. She doesn't get angry. She just looks at Adrian, like he's a stranger. "Ilya," softly, painfully. "You lied to me." Adrian steps forward, desperation flickering in his usually cold eyes. "Adrian." "Ilya, listen to me. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you everything." Ilya, letting out a bitter laugh. "That's the same thing, Adrian." For the first time, the name feels foreign on her tongue. Like she never really knew him. Sophia watches with satisfaction, but Adrian doesn't care. His entire world narrows down to the girl in front of him, the one person who saw him as just a man, not a billionaire. And now, he's losing her. Ilya's hands tremble slightly as she turns her wheelchair away. Ilya, whispering, "I don't belong in your world, Adrian. And you don't belong in mine." And just like that, she leaves. And for the first time in his life, Adrian King, ruthless, unstoppable, powerful, feels completely and utterly powerless. When love is built on half-truths, can it ever be whole again? Days pass. Adrian doesn't return to the bookstore. He throws himself into work, but nothing feels the same. The silence of his penthouse feels suffocating. The meetings, the business deals, none of it matters. Because she's not there. Meanwhile, Ilya tries to pretend like nothing happened, but her heart betrays her. She misses him. The way he listened. The way he saw her. But the pain of his deception is too strong to ignore. Then one day, she receives an envelope. No sender name. Just her name on the front. Inside, there's a single note, written in an unfamiliar but elegant handwriting. "Meet me where it all began. One last time." Her heart races. She knows who it is. And despite everything, she wants to see him. Is this the end? Or the beginning of something deeper? Night falls. The streets glisten under the soft glow of city lights. Ilya sits in a cab, staring out the window, her fingers gripping the letter. She doesn't know why she's going. Maybe for closure. Maybe for something more. The car pulls up outside the bookstore, the place where it all began. The shop is closed, but inside, through the large glass windows, she sees him. Adrian stands by the shelves, lost in thought. But as if sensing her presence, he turns. Their eyes meet, and for a moment, the world stops. Ilya hesitates, but then she pushes open the door and rolls inside. The air between them is heavy, filled with unspoken words. Ilya, breaking the silence, her voice soft yet firm. "You wanted to see me." Adrian looks at her, really looks at her. Not just at the pain in her eyes, but at the wall she's built since the last time they spoke. "Adrian," quietly, sincerely, "I never meant to hurt you." She lets out a bitter laugh, shaking her head. "Ilya, you say that, but you knew. You knew that if I found out, it would change everything." Adrian takes a step closer, his voice raw with emotion. "Adrian, I didn't want you to see me as the billionaire, as the man everyone else sees. I wanted you to see me, just me." Ilya, whispering, eyes filled with hurt. "And I did, Adrian. But now I don't know who that me really is." Silence. A painful, heavy silence. Adrian exhales sharply, running a hand through his hair. Then, suddenly, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out something small. He walks over and gently places it in her lap. Ilya looks down. It's a book. A beautifully bound leather journal, untouched, its pages waiting to be filled. Adrian, softly. You told me you wanted to write your own story, so I got you this. Because no matter what happens, Ilya, your story deserves to be told. Tears burn in her eyes, but she quickly blinks them away. She doesn't want to be moved by him. Not again. But deep down, something cracks, just a little. Ilya, quietly. I don't know if I can forgive you, Adrian. Adrian nods, accepting the truth. But then he leans in slightly, his voice filled with something deeper, something more. Adrian. Then don't forgive me, Ilya. But please, don't walk away from us. Ilya's breath catches. Did they still have an US? When trust is broken, can love still survive? Ilya leaves that night with her heart heavier than ever. She doesn't have the answers. She doesn't know what she wants. But one thing is clear, her feelings for Adrian aren't as simple as she thought. But while she battles her emotions, someone else is plotting her downfall. Cut to a dimly lit luxury penthouse. Sophia Monroe stands near a bar, swirling a glass of wine, her lips curled into a wicked smirk. Across from her sits an older man, Grayson King, Adrian's father. A ruthless businessman who believes emotions are weaknesses. Grayson, coldly. He's getting too close to that girl. Sophia, smirking. Then we remind him where he belongs. She pulls out her phone and shows Grayson something on the screen. His expression darkens. Grayson. If Adrian won't walk away willingly, we'll make sure she pushes him away. When love becomes a target, how much can the heart endure? The next morning, Ilya is at her small apartment, trying to focus on writing in the journal Adrian gave her. But her thoughts are a mess. She doesn't know if she can trust him again, but she also doesn't know if she can let him go. Then, a loud knock at her door. She rolls to open it, and freezes. Standing there is a sharply dressed man, his expression unreadable. Man, calm but firm. Miss Ilya. I work for Grayson King, Adrian's father. Ilya's stomach tightens. She doesn't like where this is going. Ilya, cautiously. What do you want? The man steps closer, lowering his voice. Man. A warning. Stay away from Adrian King. He doesn't belong in your world. And if you don't leave him, you will regret it. Ilya's hands shake as she grips the doorframe. Ilya, are you threatening me? Man, smirking slightly. Not a threat, Miss Ilya. Just a reality check. Think about it. With that, he hands her a crisp white envelope and walks away. Ilya hesitates before opening it. Inside is a check. A blank check with her name on it. Tears of frustration fill her eyes. They think she's after Adrian's money. That she can be bought to walk away. Her grip on the check tightens before she rips it into pieces. Asterisk, but deep inside, one thought echoes in her mind. Will Adrian choose her, or his world? When love is tested by power, does it stand a chance? Ilya sits in her apartment, staring at the torn pieces of the check on the floor. Her heart pounds. They think she's weak, that she'll take the money and disappear. But they don't know her. She won't be bought. She won't be scared into silence. She grabs her phone, her fingers trembling as she types out a message to Adrian. Ilya, texting. We need to talk. It's important. She hesitates before hitting send, knowing this conversation could change everything. Cut to Adrian at his penthouse. He's pacing, restless, unable to focus on anything but Ilya. His phone buzzes. The moment he sees her name, he grabs his car keys and rushes out the door. It's late at night. The city is alive, but inside a small empty cafe, the atmosphere is thick with tension. Ilya sits by the window, hands gripping her coffee cup. Adrian enters, his presence commanding yet softer than usual. He slides into the seat across from her, his eyes searching hers. Adrian, gentle but firm. You called me. Ilya nods, exhaling shakily before looking him in the eye. Ilya, your father sent someone to my apartment. Adrian's expression darkens instantly. His fists clench on the table. Adrian, dangerously low voice. What did he do? Ilya, softly, trying to stay strong. He tried to buy me off, Adrian. Told me to stay away from you, or I'd regret it. Adrian pushes back his chair so fast it screeches against the floor. His jaw tightens, fury flashing in his eyes. Adrian, gritted teeth. I swear to God. Ilya, interrupting, voice breaking. That's not all. She pulls a folded paper from her bag and slides it toward him. Adrian picks it up, unfolding it. The moment his eyes scan the words, his entire body goes rigid. It's not just a threat anymore. It's a warning. His father doesn't just want Ilya gone, he's willing to destroy her. Written in sharp, cold letters is a message that sends a chill down his spine. Walk away from her, Adrian, or she will suffer the consequences. Adrian storming into his father's towering office building, his eyes burning with fury. He slams open the doors to Grayson King's office, startling the older man. Adrian, low, dangerous voice. You crossed a line. Grayson, sitting behind his massive desk, merely raises an eyebrow, unfazed. Grayson, calmly sipping his whiskey. Good evening to you too, son. Adrian slams the threatening note onto the desk. Adrian, you threatened her. That was your first mistake. Thinking I'd let it slide. That was your second. Grayson sighs, setting down his glass before leaning back in his chair. Grayson. Adrian, listen to me. You're a king. That girl, she's a nobody. She doesn't belong in your world, and she never will. Adrian's hands curl into fists at his sides. Adrian, deadly quiet. Say her name. Grayson frowns slightly. Adrian, voice like ice. Her name is Ilya. And if you ever try to hurt her again, father or not, I will destroy you. For the first time, something shifts in Grayson's expression. Surprise. Maybe even fear. Grayson, mocking chuckle, but there's tension beneath it. Destroy me? Over some girl. Adrian leans down, his voice steady, unshakable. Adrian. Over the girl. Then, without another word, he turns and walks out. But he knows this fight isn't over. Not yet. A king doesn't bow, but will he fall for love? Cue suspenseful music. Sophia Monroe watching from the shadows, a wicked smirk on her lips. She pulls out her phone and dials a number. Sophia, smirking. He's willing to fight for her. That means he has a weakness. A deep voice on the other end responds, smooth yet filled with malice. Then it's time we use it against him. The camera pans out, revealing Sophia sitting in a high-end lounge, across from a stranger in a dark suit. Someone powerful. Someone even Adrian won't see coming. Sophia leans in, her voice dripping with venom. Sophia, if Ilya's the reason Adrian is defying us, then let's take her out of the equation. When love turns into a war, who will survive? Will love be enough to survive the chaos, or is this just the calm before the ultimate storm? Find out in Part 2, where every heartbeat hides a secret and every glance could be a trap.